Namaste. Rejection and failure. How about two words that we always try to avoid? And here's the thing, is that when you put rejection and failure in the same sentence, what happens is that you try to fix your emotions and overcome your thoughts, try to control your mind, and then you fall into the depths and the realms of darkness, where you're choosing the path of least resistance and you're doing things that don't make you feel good. Drinking, smoking, gambling, I did all of those. What happens typically when you get rejected is that you resent, you get mad, and then you don't feel good. Instead, in this video, we'll go over some practical tips that have medical evidence to support them, where you won't feel as bad, and we'll give you some tools where you can feel better about yourself at least 70 to 80% of the day. Imagine that, you get rejected, you develop some resentment, but you still feel okay 60 to 70% of the day. I always like to tell my patients that you are the star player of a basketball team. Let's say you're making 40, 50% from the field. That's a great day. You're the star player of your video game. Imagine if you're winning most of the time. That's a great day. Obviously, if you lose, that's failure. That's a rejection, is what most people would say, but we're gonna shift that mindset in this video. Let me do a quick freestyle. You get rejected at the door. Well, here comes some more. And you know what? You're not gonna be on the floor. Well, you will be on the floor shooting 40%, and there's the score. I can't rap, but this is a good freestyle, just for fun. By the end of this video, you're gonna have two actionable strategies where you can accept and embrace rejection and failure instead of fight and overcome it. This is gonna be done through a technique that I've developed called Mind Hygiene, which is supported by medical evidence. I'm Dhruva, MD, a practicing board-certified family doctor that lives brilliantly bipolar. I have been sober from alcohol, drugs, gambling debt, eating disorder, and self-hate for the last 6 years, with the sober date of July 31st, 2018. Wait a second. Almost 6.5 years now. July 31st, it's gonna be 7 years. I share my journey by speaking all over the world about this proprietary process called Mind Hygiene, where you can develop better experiences, and for those leaders and those people who are in the healthcare industry to develop better patient experiences by understanding why is it that you're getting rejected and you're failing, instead of deflecting those fears on other people. There was this girl I went on a date with several years ago. I go on a lot of dates. There are some people who accept me, but there are a lot of rejections too. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I do my hair up pretty good. I'm mindful. I'm pretty stable. I'm taking time to understand myself. I keep in physical shape. I eat healthy. I don't talk bad about people, but why is it that people reject me? You only remember those, right? You only remember the people that rejected you. What happened was when I went home, I had blown this rejection out of proportion. Let's take a second to understand this. I don't even know if I was rejected at the moment yet. What happened was that I was texting her and she was texting back initially before we went on our first date. Back and forth, making sure that we meet up, we're set up, that type of thing. Number two, the second date that we went on, we weren't texting back and forth like we did the last time after the date. I thought something had gone wrong. Well, it was pretty obvious, because you know what? If somebody really likes you, they don't reject you, they don't think you're a failure, they see your worth, they believe in you, they're gonna like you. They wanna be around people who are more magnetic. But when I was talking to her, I remember her saying that she was crying in the shower, and I just said, you know what it would feel like to accept it. That triggered me to understand is, why is she not texting me back? Am I stupid? Am I a failure? Am I being rejected? And I was just waiting, just looking at my phone. I don't know if you know how that feels, where you're just looking for this person to send a text message so you can fix the emotions around it and try to be strong or figure out ways to block it out. Well, those just don't work. So what I did was I wrote this elaborate board. And if you see some of my previous videos, my previous writing, I do a lot of writing on dry erase boards, on easel pads, on pen, paper. I write at work, I write at home all the time, constantly meditating. Because what is meditation? It's not about sitting down with incense and holding your hands like this. You want to be able to live that life. Right now, I'm in a full-on meditation. I'm accepting the environment. I'm being compassionate about it. I'm understanding that it has a higher purpose than me. That way, if I do get rejected, let's say by comments, let's say people don't like the video, that's okay because whatever I did just did not work. You can see how I reframed it. But at that time, I did not. When I did start writing about it, I was able to inspire from it. I was able to see what I did. I did not blame anybody. One of the biggest numbers I should be putting is the big number one. I never called anybody. I never talked to anybody about it. I first wrote it down multiple times. What are 2 ways that you can not feel as rejected and not feel like a failure? Number 1, accepting and embracing rejection. Rejection isn't personal, it's a part of life. Sometimes I like to say rejection is projection or protection. Sometimes people will say, oh no, you can't do that. There was one person I was talking to, and I was like, I think my story is quite incredible. The incredible part about it is not that I was in jail, I became a doctor. The incredible part about it was not that I was doing drugs and I almost died, had a substance-induced manic episode, and now I live brilliantly. The story is not that I went from self-hate to self-love. It's that I utilized every tool that's available in our country to succeed. I utilized the therapists, the coaches, anybody you could think of, all the people who are doing the YouTube videos. You think I just made this stuff up? All my patients, 130,000 patients over my career, hearing all of these stories. What I did was I understood what these guys did when they were rejected and they felt like they were a failure. Imagine Thomas Edison saying that it took him 10,000 tries, he didn't fail 10,000 times. So what happens is that when I'm on these dates, or I'm talking to people, or I'm trying to develop relationships, and they don't like me, it could be projection. They could be projecting themselves. Like when I said, look, the story's incredible. I got these things I think I want to share with people. Like everybody has a story. But hey, look, everybody didn't utilize every single last resource they have to feel better. And you know what? When you're utilizing and trying to draw from all these resources, you could get a little consumed, and that's when you could feel bad. But if you know that there's something ahead of this rejection, if you know that you could inspire from it, imagine if you know that you can create a video like this and inspire others, you won't view it as a failure. It just didn't work that one time. And you can't think about it. You can't talk to anybody about it. You got to write about it. Just schedule in a second. Hey, look, rejection is not failure. It could be projection or protection from your creator, whether that's God, the universe, nature, your parents, whatever it is. Instead of asking, why didn't they like me? They're the problem. Just ask and be curious. Why is it that you feel this way? What did you do in this situation? What could I have done better in this situation? Was that I could have just accepted right away that this intensity or whoever I am or whatever I say may not resonate with this person. It may not even be the right time for her. Because what happened was I remember her going on a date with me, messaging me, then not messaging me for 4 weeks, and all of a sudden messaging me a lot. What happened was there's something in her life that she was working through where she thought I might have been a good fit at that moment of time. But, women are bombarded. There are so many people that are trying to talk to them, take them out on dates. They just sometimes are overwhelmed by it. It may feel like a rejection, but it could be that they've been rejected multiple times and they're deflecting their rejections on you. I wouldn't think about it like that. I would be more curious. Number 1, accepting rejection. Number 2 is failure. Don't view failure as failure. Imagine failure as something that you did that just did not work. Instead of saying everybody needs to fail, I would say everybody needs to learn. You need to have a growth mindset. Don't feel like you're stupid or dumb and don't do things that don't align with your values. Just because I don't eat sugar and I work out all the time and I stay healthy doesn't mean you need to do that, but you can inspire from some of these things so you can feel better. So when you feel that you're a failure, what do? What's the next best thing that I can do in the next second to feel better about myself? Maybe I can write, I can accept it, I can say this is not a failure, I can reframe it, I can sit down for 30 minutes and just feel bad. And if I'm gonna eat a bowl of ice cream, I won't do that because I know I won't feel good after that. Instead, what I'll do is I'll take the ice cream and I'll eat 1 spoon every 90 seconds. What are you doing here? You're engaging your mind, you're training your mind to feel better about yourself, especially if you live alone like me. You don't have a choice. You gotta be your own backup. Also, when you are out on a date, if you're trying to develop a relationship with somebody, try to find out why is it that it didn't work. Don't try to focus on the other person. Only worry about yourself. And try to view it as like a coaching session. Okay, well, what could I have done better? What can I do better the next time? instead of viewing it as a core rejection, failure, and resenting it and having that rent space in your head all day long. Don't you want to release the equity in your mind? Don't you want to use medical evidence-based tools that actually work, that don't require medication, doctors, therapists, or coaches? I'm not saying don't use those. I've used all of those, but I'm not recommending medications for this. I'm not recommending a supplement. It's all on you. Medical evidence show that when you're rejected and you become resilient, that you have a better emotional well-being. A social, cognitive, and neuroscience study shows that rejection activates the same areas in the brain as physical pain does. You know what? I've been there. And just because I say some of these things doesn't mean it works all the time. Think about it like working out. You just got to keep on doing it and you got to try different ways. You may not be able to go to the gym. You may have to do a few push-ups here. It's the same thing with rejection. The pain is very real, but what are you going to do about it in the next second is the question. Even though it may feel like physical pain, doing some of these things can enhance your emotional well-being and your wellness, especially if you're alone and you don't want to talk to those people that complain, or you don't want to look for these intense solutions right away. You just want to ask yourself what you think would work best. There's medical evidence that shows that when you view failure as feedback and reframe failure as opportunities and be curious about it, you'll feel better about yourself. There was a study that was done and research that was published in the Frontiers in Psychology that supports this. In conclusion, rejection and failure should not be viewed as roadblocks. It should not be viewed as hard, difficult, stressful. These are self-limiting beliefs. Rational emotive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy, which Mind Hygiene heavily draws from, has medical evidence to support that reframing, rethinking, or reorganizing, rebuilding your mind around this can help you succeed. All of the people that you're thinking of, including Thomas Edison, did not view failure as a failure. Just it didn't work. And you have to understand that these guys are resilient. They keep on failing all the time, right? Things just don't work all the time. Some filament in the light bulb had to work one time for him. Even Mark Cuban says it too. You just got to be right one time. Imagine if you got these failures and rejections in job interviews, in women or men, or whatever it is that we're talking about right now. Like relationships, friends. You just got to have that one friend. Kobe Bryant just needed Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal needed Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan needed just Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen needed Michael Jordan. I don't want to judge their careers, but when they both had each other, imagine what happened. You just need one person. You don't need a million people. If you view failure and rejection as protection or projection, now you're going to succeed. Don't minimize it either. You want to be able to live and experience it for the time that you can and develop the tools that you need to feel better about yourself. And that's where Mind Hygiene comes in. If this video resonates with you, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll be releasing videos every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on how you can feel better about yourself through this evidence-based technique called Mind Hygiene. I will drop videos on Fridays as well and shorts throughout the week. There will be a link in the description to a Mind Hygiene PDF that you can download and follow along. Imagine me being your personal trainer today. I'm saying, look guys, why don't you come for 1 second into my world and take 1% out of your day, schedule it in, and write to feel better. If you do this every 90 minutes for 1 to 90 seconds, imagine how much your life can change. Now, let's not use the word change. Invest in yourself to feel better about your mind, body, and wellness. You don't depend on other people, and you don't need a bunch of doctors when you're in your 50s or 60s, dying from a heart attack or stroke because you're trying to fix everything. Don't fix everything. Make sure you live in a blessing. After that, don't be second guessing. Instead, mind hygiene and stop stressing. I totally just made that up off the top of my head. Thank you for watching. Namaste. I'll see you in the next video.